KCast Radio, your home for Kurre and Klapow, the morning's classic rock the bone. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, probably wondering why we're just sitting here and looking at each other, but we're on the KCast Radio app. Download that KCast Radio app. It's fantastic. It's classic rock the bone, 24 hours a day. We did our AC/DC show last night. We have our IBM's Champions Chat show later on tonight at 7 o'clock. It's a great radio app. Different way to be listening to your music and to your content. Of course, that unique programming being Kurre and Klapow here this morning on KCast Radio. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
Got a lot to get into today.
I love that song, by the way. That's one of those songs.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that even if I think I feel...
There's only one way to rock.
Yeah, Send Me Hanging One. Yeah. That even if I think I don't feel like listening to it, like, it comes on. Sometimes it comes on and you're like, it's fine. And then about... I don't know, 3 bars in, I'm in.
One of the finest lyrics in any song, mental masturbation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember hearing that. When I was I got hired to go back to my high school after I had graduated because I had bought my own sound equipment. I had a couple of SP3 PVs and I had a 500-watt amp, and I was doing all these different parties and stuff, and so I got called to come play the prom the year after I left in 1984, and the first song I played was that. I'll never forget it.
Because you were done.
Well, yeah. And everyone was like, play some dance. They want to hear Michael Jackson and dance music, and I played There's Only One Way to Rock, and people were like, what the, that? I was like, okay.
See, and that part, that is every one of us who never got to be a rock DJ.
Yeah.
That's the fantasy.
Well, that was my test tune.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure everything sounded right. That's where I got my bass and my treble all set, and I played There's Only One Way to Rock. And by the way, Sammy Hagar just played Cincinnati, Ohio a couple nights ago. That is the first song he plays on his new set.
It is.
He brought Rock Candy back after playing. He said, I used to play Rock Candy all the time. I haven't played it in about 10 years. So he's playing some old Montrose, and that is the first song he plays. He plays right now. He plays. He doesn't play any of the David Lee Roth stuff, but he plays a few. Plays Three Lock Box.
See, that's another.
Yeah, we're going to see Sammy in Las Vegas. Yeah. It's going to happen. I'm just telling you.
Do you think it's going to diminish it because he's Sammy in Las Vegas? Do you think I'm going to be able to get past?
No, because Sammy's always had. I mean, David Lee Roth would be great in Las Vegas if David Lee Roth could still pull it off.
But he's more like Cirque du Soleil.
Sammy can still pull it off because he's a great artist.
Yes. Okay.
David Lee Roth was a buffoon who could sing in that particular forum
and had good high kicks.
And good high kicks, and he served a purpose with Van Halen. And then when Van Halen really wanted to get serious about their songwriting and their sound, that's when they brought Sammy. And David was kind of like,
right.
Hey, LP, or that kind of thing. So, but they both served a purpose in the band. The band matured, and that's when Sammy came in. And so Sammy's looked upon as a great, because he was a solo artist before.
That's right.
David was a solo artist after, and not a particularly good one, but he did have a couple of good records. So yeah, it's interesting. We talked about the Stevie Nicks story. I put out the tweet this morning at Facebook as well as Twitter and Instagram.
And I retweeted and had some thoughts on
Stevie Nicks is having a tough time with COVID, man. She is like. And you would have thought, just based on how she's handled some things in the past, I'm not sure she would have been for the vaccination, but she definitely is now because she's sensing her own mortality. She's like, I don't have much more time to play.
That's exactly.
And it's really bumming me out. And she's like, and in doing it virtually is just not the same.
Yeah.
She's, I want to play. You don't see too many 72, 73-year-old rockers like saying, I want to get back on the road. I need to play for my fans. My fans deserve this. I want to play for you. And it's not about the money for her because she's got it.
You don't see that, or you do see that?
You don't see it. Not at the age of 72. You may see it more now because a lot of rock and rollers are sensing their mortality.
Yeah,
they're running out of time.
Yeah,
and not so much from a death standpoint.
No,
they're running out of time to perform.
Yes. Listen, there is a. I'm going to go deep psychological versus just for a second. There's an Erik Erikson, is a famous psychologist who sort of talk about developmental stages from birth to death, and this kind of 50 to late 60s. Let's just use that. Is this period of time where we kind of stop and we look back and we say, am I satisfied with where I am up to this point? Like has my life been good? Not that I think I'm going to die, but it is the time where we start doing that, right? By the time you're 80 and 90, you've already done that a million times.
You start thinking about your legacy.
That's exactly. Yeah. And so what happens for a lot of these rockers is exactly that. They're not in denial that, I'm going to go play, I'm going to tour for 40, 50 more years. And so what happens is the proverbial clock really is starting to tick. It would have started to tick without the pandemic, right? Just by age. Sure. But what the pandemic has done is it said, okay, the thing you love to do that you're naturally running out of time, now you can't do it at all. Yeah. And so you spend a lot of your day going, okay, it's been a week, it's been a month, it's been a year, how many more times? And I think that's what you got from Stevie Nicks is like, crap, I am running out of time. Mm-hmm. I'm running out of time to do the thing that I love in the way that I love it.
Well, she was told 5 years ago, you got 5 more years left in you to get on the road and do what you do. Right. And do it well.
Yes.
Do it well and still sing. And because of the lilt in her voice, she can pull it off. And now all of a sudden I'm taking 40% of that time away because you're not allowed to go out and perform. I mean, it sucks.
Well, and contrast that with, this is our Soul of Rock and Roll show.
Yeah.
Contrast that with like Linda Ronstadt, who developed Parkinson's, right? Mm-hmm. And so the difference is, Stevie Nicks, I don't know her health conditions or whatever, but she feels like she's in good enough health to go perform, but she can't. Linda Ronstadt, when the Parkinson's came on, watched herself have an inability to perform, right? I can't. It's not that I'm running out of time. My voice won't do it. Won't do it. I mean, look, the classic heart-wrenching Glenn Campbell tour, right? Tony Bennett, right? Tony Bennett, Neil Diamond,
who's 95, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, so what? There's a difference between my body has stopped working and I can't do it now, and it's just the way that it is. I'm not saying that's good, versus there's more angst to, I'm good. I'm okay. You got to let me get out there. And again, this is the pandemic thing. The pandemic's doing this. The pandemic is just, it's heightening everything. It's heightening frustrations, passage of time. How are we going to move our lives? And for Stevie Nicks, when you get to that age, you're like, crap, it's one more concert I can't play.
Did you read the story?
Yes, I did.
What else did you take away from that story? Well, because there's one other part in there that I think is really, really important, and I think that's why she became so vocal about it.
The addiction part?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, because it was a weird angle. Not weird. Weird's the wrong word.
No.
It was a different angle
think
than
about it.
I'm
going to play psychologist.
Yep.
Think about psychology. She talked about, and that's why I posted it. She said, I survived my addiction with Coke. I survived my addiction. She did get help.
Yeah. She said, I checked myself in it.
I checked myself in it, and that's what she means. I survived it. I'm not saying I could have done it alone, but I was the one to make the decision, and that's the best time, because that's when you've hit rock bottom. You're like, right. I've got to change my life. So think for a second. Why would she be bringing that up and then follow it up with the COVID thing? Because that and I read it and I knew exactly what she was talking about. She controlled her addiction. She could change her addiction.
Yes.
She could end.
That's deep.
She could end her addiction, and then she followed up with, "I can't." Well, she didn't put the two together, but she did. I can't control the pandemic.
Yes.
I can't control playing on the road. I can't be told I can play. I can't. She could go out to a park and play for somebody, or she could do virtual concerts, which people are doing, and they're not the same because bands feed off crowds.
That's right.
But and I saw that it wasn't her doing a podcast talking about her Coke addiction.
Right.
Okay, let's shut off and do something else and talk about the COVID thing.
No,
they walked hand in hand in what she's doing in her life, and I sensed that she went through her addiction. I've shared my story about being backstage with her back in the early 90s when she was solo. She had broken her leg. It was heart-wrenching to watch. She pulled it off, but barely. And now she has something in her life that she can't control.
Yeah.
And she desperately wants to control it, but she can't. And there's a sense there of the way I read into it was, I fixed this, and because I fixed this, it's going to be okay, and I should be able to do whatever I want for the rest of the time, and I deserve that. And now she can't.
Yes.
And now
that's deep. That's deep. Well, and it does speak to, I mean, this is what we're going to, you're a genius. Yep. This is what we're going to talk about. I mean, we'll talk about it on Fox. I mean, this is the pandemic. This is the frustration on both sides for different reasons, right? The scientists and the physicians and the public health people are like, they're saying we can't control this. They're saying we need you to do this, and you're not. And it is that same thing. We don't have control. All we can do is try to help as people come in. And then on the flip side, people who are against COVID, against the vaccine, whatever you want to call it, they're like, we just want to live our lives, and you, whoever you are preventing us from doing it, and we can't control it. We're trying to control it, right? We're trying to go do that, but we can't. And we all are stuck, no matter what side we are. We are stuck in this situation together, because they're talking about we're all in it together. And when you say we're all in it together, it's like we started off saying that, like, Tony, we're all in this together. Let's work together. Now it's more like, we're stuck. We're like cellmates. We're all here. I hate you. You hate me. And we're all stuck, and it all sucks. And what do we do? Because, and I love what you said, none of us can control this in the way that we want it to be.
Yeah.
Maybe little bits. Like you said, she'd go out and play in a park. If I don't want to get the vaccine, I don't have to get the vaccine. But I can't really live my life the way I want to.
Yeah.
And if I've gotten the vaccine, I still can't live my life the way I want to.
Yeah. We were talking yesterday on the show, and I ran into a couple of friends of mine. I got an opportunity to go do some voice work. In a place called The Sound of Birmingham yesterday. Don Martin is a good friend of mine. I ran into Jess Bullock, and I hadn't done voice work in a while, and I said, how did the pandemic affect you guys? Because you're talking about being in a very small room. Yeah. In a sound studio, and you've got microphones, and Don was like, I told people, you can't wear a mask. You can't wear a mask when you're doing a radio show. We've never worn masks, but we've been incredibly, I've wiped down the studio, and we did everything, and knock on wood, neither one of us have gotten COVID, and our families have been safe, and I think we've done things right, and we've certainly taken some risks. But he's like, I basically told people, hey, listen, you're touching two things when you walk in here. You're touching the door handle, and you're touching, don't touch anything, and you'll be fine, and blah, 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 blah. And they pulled it off. And I think it's really interesting. I was trying to understand. I always try to understand the other side, even when I don't get it.
It's great.
Because there's nothing worse or better in your life when you have truly believed in something for a long period of time, and maybe it's even an argument you've had with your wife or your husband, and you're like, I'm right, and all of a sudden something clicks, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have totally been looking at this the wrong way, and you're right. I totally effed up. I don't know why, and it could have been years. Yeah. And finally it hits you, and it's liberating in a way, and it feels good to acknowledge you're wrong.
If you go there.
If you're willing to go there.
You're at that path.
A lot of people won't.
That's exactly.
They won't even acknowledge the idea of debating that. And that's why I think like school debate teams are great.
Yes.
Because sometimes they're made to take the other side.
Yes.
I know you don't believe this, but you're taking the other side,
right.
and it opens your brain to different things.
Yes.
And so I was talking about how confused a lot of people who have not gotten vaccinated are. I'm not here to hammer on anybody. It is what it is, and we're going to talk about that on Fox 6 this morning at 9:30. But there are truly some people out there that are confused, and they just don't know what to do. It's not that they're anti-vaxxers. They don't have a reason not to get the vaccination. They certainly believe in their civil liberties and their right. And I want to talk to my physician. And they've done all these research and things, and they still just don't know what to do. And so I was thinking to myself, if you really want the end-all answer on a medical issue in your life, where do you go?
Me?
Where do most people think, okay, if I need this, I'm going to go to?
My physician.
Your physician, or if you want a second opinion?
Another physician.
The Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, no, that's funny. You're right. We always send people to the Mayo Clinic, regardless of whether, even if the Mayo Clinic says this is not our specialty, the brand is...
The brand, the Mayo Clinic. My ex-father-in-law did it.
Yep.
My ex-wife did it.
I've got a physician friend who developed breast cancer. Okay, he works with some of the finest physicians in the world. They are completely competent. They know that they did the thing. They did it was all negative, And it all kind of paused. And they're like, these are physicians. And they're like, we're 100% sure, but we're going to send it to the Mayo Clinic just to be sure. And they almost did it as a favor to him.
It's the end all.
Yeah,
because when the Mayo Clinic says it's all right, then it's all right. Or if they say you have cancer, it's the end all. It's like
it's great branding.
And a lot of times you will get the same answer, like you said, 8 times in a row. I'm going to go to the Mayo Clinic. If the Mayo Clinic says it,
that's right. That's great.
So I took the liberty to go to the Mayo Clinic website yesterday.
What did they say?
And I said Mayo Clinic on vaccination,
right?
Just to see. And I would implore anyone because. Again, you go to a lawnmower guy to get your lawnmower fixed. You go to your doctor to get your arm fixed. We have specialists in everything.
That.
You come to KCast Radio to get classic rock. You have specialists in everything. And if you're a person that truly believes, and you've been to the doctor, right? You're 55, 54, 25, 26, whatever. You've been to a doctor because you have the flu, you have a cold, you have a splinter, your kid broke his arm, you go to a pediatric doctor, you trust your pediatricians, right? So if the end all is the Mayo Clinic, which it is for a lot of people, then go to the Mayo Clinic website.
Well, and even if you don't
read, and it's written incredibly well.
Yeah, they do a good job. Yes.
They don't take sides, but and there's a whole thing called myth. Just tap the myth. There's about 25 questions on there, and it really cleared some things up for me because there were some things in there I didn't realize.
Yeah.
It talks about whether you should take the vaccination if you're pregnant. And there's a lot of times in there where they're like, there's not enough studies here to acknowledge one way or another. And I
see, but people hate that. And that is science.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole one of the things that folks hate about science is, and we've talked about this for a year, but it is there's not enough that statement. There's not enough science to make a decision one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And people don't want that because that's like going to your physician. You have this all the time, whether it's your physician or your veterinarian or whatever, and you're like, just tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And they'll go, I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you what the information is. And people, we all hate that. So don't do that. I don't want you to tell. I want you to tell me that this is what I should do. Yeah. Now, we're gotten to the point with certain things where they'll say, And physicians, psychologists, we're very careful about how we say that. We won't tell you and then we'll say, if this were my family member. That's where we go.
Veterinarians are great at that.
Yeah,
would you put your dog down? If this was your dog, would you do it?
Yeah, right. And we've all learned. We'll all learn. I know you can't tell me, but if this was your Labrador, would you do it?
Yeah.
And they look at you and they're like, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's the piece. It's the piece with anything is, and it goes back to what you were saying before. It is so hard when we, psychologically, when we get information, it's confirmation bias. We get information that is consistent with what we believed, what we thought, and it works. This is where I am. This is the information I'm getting. This is why, with cable news channels and all that kind of stuff, we go towards what validates us. The hardest part for us, all of us, in any situation, is when there's conflicting information. And it's what are we going to do with that conflicting information? Natural reflex instantly is, if it's one bit of conflicting, can't be true because it's one opinion. And then it becomes 2 or 3 or 4. And there comes a point at which psychologically you have to make that decision, which you just made, which is it possible that there could be a different view to this? Mm-hmm. If you can even say that, then that doesn't force you to take the other view.
Yeah.
But psychologically, it's so hard for us to say, I might have seen this in the wrong way.
What's really funny is we've talked about this from the get-go, the risk versus reward.
I was going to tell you that the whole odds probabilities.
The whole odds and I know you brought the numbers up, and I'm a gambler. It's just amazing to me how people will paraglide. They'll do all these different things that are risk-worthy. In this particular case, even if the risk is minuscule, they blow it up to the point where they feel like it's not worth the reward because of the risk that could potentially happen. And there's risk in everything. There's a percentage of risk in everything. The common myth that they went through was basically that it was pushed through. And it's funny because I didn't know crap about inoculations or vaccinations. I knew I had a tuberculosis thing. Remember the little thing on your arm they used to do, and they used to have you roll over scoliosis and all that other garbage. And I just knew that we had to get vaccinated to go to school for mumps and chicken pox and all that garbage. And now people are really digging in the numbers, which I think is good. I mean, you're learning about it. I don't think a lot of people realize just how many tens of thousands of people that were actually looked at for a long period of time before this thing actually got pushed through. So, I'm not going to push either way. You do your research, you do your thing, and I hope you do the right thing. And I do hope that we get vaccinated because we know that it works. And now people are saying, well, obviously it doesn't because people that are getting vaccinated. Well, it's a different variant now. And what's going to happen is we're going to have another variant. I think it's called the Colombian variant.
Colombian. There was Delta. I think there was Theta and Eta.
Yeah,
these are like they're like hurricanes.
This is the true devil at work.
I agree with you.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. This thing continually. It's the thing. It continually changes its face. It changes its way it acts. It's going to figure out a way to eventually annihilate the vaccination as we know it over a period of time. And then we're going to have to come up with something new. And because we didn't put an end to it and nip it in the bud, like Barney Fife said, we're going to have to deal with it. And that's just, and we'll talk about that on Fox 6 this morning at 9:30 on WBRC. We have a great partnership with them. Now we're just in a point where we're just dealing with it. Again, I know we're moving in the right direction. If you're a vaccination kind of proponent, we are, because every day more and more people are getting vaccinated. So we're always moving. You can't take a vaccination away. So we're not moving in the wrong direction ever. We're moving in the right direction. We're just not moving in the right direction fast enough. So it's very interesting.
You ready for your booster shot?
Yeah, 8 months, and I'm good. I'm like, sure, whatever it takes. 8 months. I still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
I got it as soon as I possibly could get it, but my kids are like, we're going to get it. And I said, we're going to get it. And
we went through it with my son last night. So we were talking about all the shots that we get, just unless you're completely.
This next time around, you don't even need an ID.
No, they're just.
It's just. I mean, you get 3 or 4 of them if you want.
Dude, I'm going to get someone.
I get one in both arms.
But we were talking with my son the other night about, measles and chickenpox and rubella and all that kind of stuff. And I think you and I are old enough. There was no chickenpox shot when we got it. I got the chickenpox. We also had what was it called? I got the little scar here from my brother didn't. It was 3 years. Okay, so my son was like. And we were talking about the HPV thing we were talking about yesterday. So my son is like, well, how did you all decide, what to give us when we were infants? We were like, I'm sorry. We were like, we just loaded your ass up. We run, give us the entire smorgasbord. He goes, I still remember how much that hurt. I'm like, dude, you were like 6 months old. He's like, I remember.
It's something that every parents remember because they usually have to give them in the leg.
And on both legs.
And the kids are like this.
And they're screaming.
Yeah, and it's super hard. And I mean, it's one of the worst parts. It's like getting shots for your dogs. You got to go through parvo shots. You got to do all these.
Yeah, but dogs, have you ever noticed that? Like some dogs get a little twitchy.
No, I mean, it's expensive. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to go in and do the parvo, then you got to do another parvo, and some people want to give it to their own dog, and it's like blah blah blah. But it's like the childhood thing all over again. Talk about frustration. Talk about one of our great sponsors real quick. I got a great parenting story that I found late last night that I sent you this morning about how parents deal with their kids. We all want to think that we're decent parents, but we all get frustrated. It drives us crazy. It's the hardest job we'll ever have. It tests your patience. It drives you crazy. It doesn't get any easier as you have a second or third or fourth child of anything. Sometimes it gets more difficult. Yep. You get better at dealing with it. And sometimes you just kind of let it go. You're like, I've dealt with the first two. You're going to have to figure it out. But this woman does something to her toddler that a lot of people have issues with.
One of the greatest cures for parenting is to go to Woodhouse Day Spa.
Yes.
Because if you're going to get to this point in your life, and hopefully you're in a position that you can afford this. And Woodhouse Day Spa is actually incredibly affordable. I mean, I'm not saying to go there every day, although Stuart Rome would love for you to go there every day. Yeah. But you're going to get to this point in your life, whether you have kids or not, where there's just nothing you can do to take the edge off that's also healthy. And Woodhouse Day Spa is one of those great places because you can make an appointment. You can go up there for a manicure, pedicure, facial, massage. You can make an appointment and you can spend an hour on the front end and back end just sitting in their resort-like setting and just taking a breath and just having some fantastic banana chips and just taking the edge off. And that's what Woodhouse Day Spa is there for. Yes, they're for all the services, but they're to help you kind of get reset and get back to a good place. Their telephone number is 205-905-7676. They're located up at the summit. You can go to their webpage. I sometimes go to their webpage just to relax because the webpage is amazing. I do. Just like if I'm feeling stressed and I can't get there. Free. And it's free. But you can also make reservations. Go to their webpage today, birmingham.woodellspas.com, birmingham.woodellspas.com.
Not to their face, but have you ever flipped off your kid?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not to their face. Oh, hell great. Yeah.
There's a friend of mine. I told this story before. There's a friend of mine.
Oh, my kids
who is like she's like the mother of all mothers, right?
Yeah. Jules has too, by the way.
The lunches and I've seen her at work, and I'm kind of like, oh God. I'm like, and so we were over at their houses a couple years ago, and she was talking about, and she's like, I'm having a really hard time with my youngster. I'm not going to mention his name, and he's on my last nerve. And she said, Tony, she said, I wanted to put my hands around his throat. And she said, I had to catch myself. I had to walk outside. I was so frustrated. She goes, I actually thought about harming my own child. And I was like, yes, good, because we all feel that way. We don't act through it. But, yeah, it is so frustrating. It's going to happen to every parent. There's no perfect child. The terrible twos is the real deal. It goes all the way till they're 16. And
Ali Wong's comment in her thing.
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
sometimes
I go to work so that I will not murder my child.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
And for the most part, the majority of us don't get through it, and we're fine.
And we don't, yes.
Well, baby shaken syndrome.
Yes.
That was kind of a relatively new thing that when it came out 15, 20 years ago, where you're just like,
right.
And then you find yourself going, okay, I got to take a break. And we hope we have those coping skills as parents to deal with those things. Or Walmart and your kid, just repeatedly smacking them in the ass because it makes you feel better just to get to those moments. So this mom on this momsnet.com or one of these mom sites has mentioned that she flips her kid off. When she gets really frustrated and she just can't handle it. The kid doesn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
But she's like,
yeah.
And it gets her through the moment. She's like,
when the kid, so she kind of goes into another place when the kid's turning their back.
Yeah, or the kid, as soon as the kid turns his back.
Oh, I do that all the time. I've done that.
I mean, we do that to people all the time, right? I mean,
no, I've done that to my kids.
Yeah.
I double flip it.
And she said she's sworn at her kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done that too. I've caught myself doing it. I'm like, oh, man, that's not. And then one time I almost found myself doing it to their face, which as they get a little older is a little easier to do because they understand your vernacular. They start
17, 18, 20. Yep.
And you got to be careful when you approach that area because it gets easier the more times you do it.
But when you do that when they're that age, there's a very interesting dynamic that happens because I've done that. My kids are 20 and 22.
Yeah.
I've done that at probably 18, 19. We got into it, and I was losing. And I didn't even pull the dad card. I just pulled the FU card.
Yeah.
And the moment I said it, came out of my mouth, and there was this, I felt great, and I instantly felt horrible. Mm-hmm. Like, horrible. Like, if I said FU to you, I would feel horrible.
Yeah.
But in a different kind of way.
Sure.
This was, I betrayed my children.
Not your child.
Yeah, but it felt, let me tell you, in the moment and behind the scenes, I mean, you know me, I'm wound pretty tight.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of cope. It's the equivalent of, one of the things we know about swearing, it's tied to, swearing is tied to the amygdala. And if you see people, some individuals have Tourette's syndrome, right? They blurt out obscenities because there is a special part of your brain that is actually tied to both emotions, but it's also tied to obscenities. It's this weird thing. And so saying the F word or anything is this release, and it's not just the release of yelling. It's different. It's actually saying the word makes us feel like we've discharged something.
Sure.
So hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've double fisted it behind the back.
I have too. I've done it in the car.
What do you mean?
Like that close, where the minute they looked out the window,
yeah.
You know, and it felt good. I was like, all right.
Okay.
And then, like you said, you feel horrible.
Yeah, like, what have I done?
You're like, thank goodness they didn't see it. This mom has been catching all kinds of crap, and she's not getting a lot of people that back her up. And I'm thinking they're parents that obviously do it. But the problem is her sister-in-law saw her do it.
Yeah, well.
In the same room. She's like, did you just flip off your kid? That innocent little child? And you're like, oh, it's not your child. You have no clue. You don't even have children. Oh, I have children. No. And so we all pick different ways to deal with our frustrations. And so while I think it's healthy, because as opposed to doing something perhaps different, and that is, because sometimes timeouts, sometimes just nothing's working.
Well, it's not working. You know why it's not working? Because you're in the bad place.
Yeah.
That's why it's not working. I mean, like if you think about it, if you gave me your child, and I needed to modify their behavior, no, but seriously, and they're driving me, they're frustrated. They're frustrating to me.
That's a great question, because I've babysat other people's kids, and I'm like, oh, and sometimes I'm like, that don't work around here, partner. And
but think about it. That don't work around here, partner. But when you say that, you're not really agitated. You're in this different place.
Getting there.
No, but you're in a different place because it's not your child, so you're not as emotionally connected.
Yep.
So what you actually end up doing the behavior modification part better.
Yeah.
No, I can
understand that.
We don't accept that here.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly here. When it's your kid, it's because they're pushing your buttons.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably not the most healthy. It's definitely not the least unhealthy.
I would say for every parent out there listening right now, and every parent's been through this, whatever it takes for you to get to that moment.
In a safe way.
Sometimes,
a safe way for you and your kid.
Yeah, you just...
Yeah, that's right.
And you're kind of 10, you're saying a prayer, doing whatever, and sometimes the pot is just boiling all day long, and it just takes one little tick for it to go over. Yep. And if it means flipping off your kid, I wouldn't make it a common gesture, and you certainly don't want your kid to see it, because do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I mean, flipping the bird has become kind of a...
You having a moment.
It's weird, because I used to never flip the bird, and now I find myself I don't do it. I just
That's an Italian thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a Jewish thing.
No,
I don't separate the fingers. If I could do
it's
this,
just, you mentally separate them.
If I could do the Spock thing.
Oh, you can't do that?
No.
That's weird.
Yeah. I'll just and you can do that to their face, and they don't even know what it is.
No, I flip. We have a whole thing in my family about how I flip. I have a Southern California.
I used to have a friend of mine that flipped me off. That was his way of saying hello.
Yeah, well, now you got friends like that,
dude.
Yeah. I think
he used to also call me a bitch.
Well, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yo, bitch, what's going on? And I'm like, I love you, and you're a good friend of mine, but I don't really appreciate you calling me that. And it was a guy at work who used to do it every day, and it was his way of saying hello to me. I didn't see him do it with anyone else. But I'm like, are you mad at me or something?
You know what that is? That's overcompensation. That's what that is. He's trying to be cool.
Well, that was not cool.
That's what I mean. It's overcompensation. He's trying to be cool because you're Tony Curry, and everyone thinks Tony Curry's cool. So we're trying to do all these things. What?
I'm a nice guy.
You are, but you're cool persona. So people are trying to be cool. Yeah, they're trying to be more cool than you.
So like after a year, I finally had to say,
stop calling
me. I don't really like being called the B word, and I don't like you flipping me off.
That's good,
dude. We're cool. I'm like, no,
we're not good.
No, I'm not. No.
I like that.
We went through an uncomfortable thing, and then the next day, he did it again. And he started laughing. I'm like, all right, fine. And then I started calling him an effer. Hey. Anyway, interesting story about always giving the taller the middle finger, and she said it's gotten her through a lot of different phases.
See, what you shouldn't do is you don't need to go to social media with it.
Yeah.
This is where you always get in trouble.
No, but I think people know they're going to get in trouble, and I think they're one to push fingers. I do think it's important though that parents understand that as parents, it's kind of like that dark web of parenting. We all do some things. I would venture to say that we probably
every parent listen. What you hope and pray is that the things that you do out of frustration, helplessness, all of that have minimal consequence, are not physically or psychologically traumatic in the moment, and that they stop over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me as a parent, one of the biggest regrets I have are it's the things that I did wrong multiple times over the course of their childhood.
Yeah.
That's where most of my regrets are.
Yeah.
The couple times that I lost it and screamed at them or whatever, I mean, that I have regret over that. But I think what bothers me more as I kind of look back at my parenting is, God, why was I not as present or engaged? I don't mean physically present, in the moment, time and time again. That's where I have the regrets, because it's one-time deal. As long as you don't harm your kid, kids are tough and resilient. Yeah. It's the why did I, I'm just using this. Why did I spank them with a belt every single time?
Yeah.
In the moments it was good, but why didn't I think about something else? This is what happens as your kids start getting older, and they start reflecting to you, not just like what you did wrong. That's not it. And I'll talk to any parent, I'll tell you this. When you start seeing problems arise in your child, maybe normal problems, but they're problems.
Yeah.
Your first inclination is, what's wrong with them? Your second one is, oh crap, what did I do wrong?
You just got to remember that as you ramp up with the voice, that you're getting towards the end of your bag of tricks.
That's a great.
And as you continue to ramp up, when you get to the point where you're screaming at your kid, there's really nowhere else to go. And so you've kind of used your whole bag of tricks. It's kind of like a comedian who doesn't use a lot of F-bombs and profanity in their act. If you're going to use it wisely and don't overuse it, and it goes for spanking, it goes for any type of disciplinary measure. If you do it over and over and over again, it's like opiates. They don't work anymore.
Well, the kids habituate.
Yeah.
I mean, listen.
They're used to it, and it doesn't really.
I grew up in a house, and I sort of the generational thing. I grew up in a house. My mom was a yeller. She was a 6th grade teacher.
Yeah. And we had them in every neighborhood.
Well, yeah, my mom was a 6th grade teacher. She didn't have a whistle at home, but my mom was the 6th grade teacher that was yelling at every kid. That they all loved her, but if you went around my friends, my mom was the one who was going to yell, right? So I had that in my house. She was a yeller. And on the one hand, it was very clear when she was upset and those kinds of things. But you did get to a point, and she knows this because she watches this. She knows this. We got to this point where we were like, oh, it's just mom yelling.
Yeah.
It's just mom yelling. Yeah. Listen, I carried this out with my family, right? Because I'm a yeller.
Yeah.
And I thought in the first couple times, I thought, it's terrible. This works great. Because when they're really little, my voice, and it carries it. I'm like, and they're scared to death. And then they stop. And the problem was I kept doing it. And then they would kind of ignore me. Or it wasn't that they were ignoring. It didn't have its effect.
Yeah.
Now, Jules is quiet.
Yeah.
Jules is stealthy.
Yeah.
And this is the classic when mom gets mad, or the quiet parent gets mad. Man, when Jules raised her voice, we were all running in the other direction.
Oh, yeah.
Me and the kids, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
We get out of here. And to this day, if you ask my kids, they will tell you, we knew when dad was mad, and yeah, we listened, but when mom got mad.
See, I'm finding out too, because I've had to apologize to neighbors.
Well, because your voice carries.
But I take it outside, and there was a point in time with my special needs boy where I was so frustrated, and I knew that he knew what was right and wrong, and he continued to do something. And it went on for about a year and a half, 2 years. But a lot of it was on me, too, because I was going through some tough times, too, and I was like, and now that I've kind of, even my ex calls me Mr. Calm. Which I like. Calm. It's like, because, and it's carry the big stick, right? It's have a nice little voice and carry the big stick. And now, for the most part, my kids listen to everything I have to say because they know I'm not going to blow my top. But I'm not a top blower.
They know you're not going to blow your top, but they're not 100% sure that you're not going to blow
They know I'm capable of doing it, and that's the beautiful thing, because they've seen it.
That's it.
So they're like, it's in there.
So that right.
It's in there somewhere, but we don't see it anymore. And so it's just more, maybe I'm gritting my teeth a little bit more, or maybe we're like, we need to have a talk.
You could write, here's the ultimate parenting
But usually people do it in reverse.
Right.
And then they blow their top, and then again, you're done with your bag of tricks. You've thrown everything you got, and maybe that's where the bird flipping comes off. But again, it's trying to figure out what gets you through those moments. And again, it's just like trying to teach a dog tricks. I'm trying to teach my dog how to roll over right now. It doesn't make me angry that he doesn't. He's a dog, for God's sakes. But I know he knows how to do it, and so I'm sitting there teaching him, and I know by yelling at him, it
Right.
makes him not want to do anything. He'll run from the other room,
course.
and then it makes me angry. Then I'm pulling him by the chain, and we're not
Why are
supposed
you
to talk.
teaching your dog to roll over, by the way?
Just to have something fun to do. I was bored as hell yesterday. I'm trying to get him to rub my belly too, but that don't seem to.
No,
be
that
working.
would work good.
But the peanut butter is a great ploy. You can use peanut butter anywhere you want. But
You ever put peanut butter in
so I teach the kids, do not touch the dogs unless you're petting them. Because if they're not coming to you without just calling their name, then you're doing something wrong. Rainer, come.
Look at
he
you.
should come. So
You're a dog trainer
because
too?
my son's grabbing the dog
Right.
by the scruff of the neck and pushing him outside, and the dog doesn't understand what's going on. And I'm like, watch, come, Rainer, come on, let's watch, and he'll follow me right outside.
It's like
And
a
I'll
it's my theory
I don't
about
scare the hell out of them.
It's a well trained. Oh,
Why can't my kids be like dogs?
if you can't train your dog, you can't train your kids.
No.
Period.
Oh, that's an Instagram right there.
No, I've said it. I used to say it cautiously, and the older I get, the stronger my conviction is this. If you have a messed up dog,
You have a messed up kid.
you have a messed up kid, with a few exceptions. There's a few minor exceptions. There's the dog who's because here's the thing: parents and dog owners say, "Well, I don't know. He's just bad genes, right? Bad genetics in that dog, maybe. Bad genetics in the kid, maybe. But that's out here.
Yeah.
If you can't train your dog to behave in
You
a way,
always say get a dog first before you get a kid.
I told you we got our first dog. I was adamant. Not only was I adamant, I declared to Jules, I've had dogs my whole life, and I've taken them to training and all that kind of stuff, but kind of half-assed or whatever.
Yeah.
I said, this dog shall be my child.
Yeah.
And I said, I shall treat this dog like my child because I personally am scared that I don't know how to parent. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do everything the right way, the way that I've read in the books, etc. So at least I know that I can get through it with an animal.
Do you find that dogs that listen to one particular person in the family, it kind of goes along with the kids thing too?
Oh yeah, there's because it's parenting. There's the dog. The dog knows. Dogs are about. I mean, Dr. Rabbit said this. I don't know the exact age. They're like 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right. The dog knows who is going to.
It's not who feeds it. It's not any of that
stuff.
No,
it's consequences.
Yeah.
Right. So the dog knows. The dog learns very easily. This person is helter skelter, scattered all over the place. I can kind of do what I want, and I'll get what I want. Mm-hmm. This person, I have to engage in very strict behaviors in order to get what I want. Dog learns that, absolutely. Kids learn the same thing.
Yeah. The club at Lakeview, they listen to everything you got to say. They're great golf, swim, eat, repeat. They do fantastic work. Chris Creek, I reached out to him a couple days ago. They had a golf tournament this past weekend. They've always got golf tournaments. They've got a big roast going on, or a Boston butt sale they're doing.
Good.
It's Labor Day, right? Labor Day is the next one. Memorial Day is the first one. Labor Day is the second one. And so if you want to get a Boston butt, they're taking orders right now. Go to theclubatLakeview.com, the Club at Lakeview, their Facebook page. And I know you're watching some Katie.
Thank you for putting the twerking back up.
Sorry. So check out the Club at Lakeview and get your Boston butts. I'm going to go ahead and get several of them. I love when someone else cooks my Boston butts because this dude knows how to cook. Chris Creek does a fantastic job. You go up there and check it out. Private membership's only $100 a month. The swimming pool will be open as long as it stays hot, and it appears it's going to be hot for a little while longer. So check it out. They have a 50-foot bar, TVs, the whole 9 yards. Great golfers lounge at the Club at Lakeview. TheclubatLakeview.com. It's fantastic. You know what 14 weeks from today is? Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Now you're like, what?
Hey.
Okay, 14.
Really?
Which means we're inside 100 days.
Till Christmas.
Till Black Friday.
Black Friday.
The Shoppers Index of something or other came out yesterday.
Consumer Index?
No, Shoppers Index of something, blah, blah, blah. It's time to start shopping for Christmas. Because of COVID, because of the influx of people that are going to be online, because of Amazon. I got a Christmas gift 2 weeks ago. I got a Hess toy. You know what Hess toys are? It's one of these South Korean outfits, I think, or something. I don't know where the hell it came from.
Why'd you get it?
It just finally came for Christmas.
Oh, from last Christmas.
Yeah.
Good, quick, package it up.
I got it, and I was like, Merry Christmas. He's like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, I ordered it back in November of last year, and it finally came in. It finally came in. It was like, he's like, can I have it? I was like, yeah, I got it for Christmas. I totally forgot I had it coming in. I forgot I had paid for it. And so it was like a little toy truck. I'm like, yeah, Merry Christmas to you. And of course, the other two kids were like, where's my stuff? I said, you got all your stuff. They're saying now, if you want to ensure that you get your Christmas gifts in time, that you need to start shopping now on August 19th.
So it's like Christmas in July, only it's Christmas in August.
Yeah. And hell, I haven't even paid for Christmas last year. So it's time to get the Sears Roebuck catalogs out.
They don't have that.
Oh. Start looking in the back, marking the pages, telling the kids what they want. I'm trying to help you because for the most part, if I start shopping by December 1st, and I'm a store guy, I'm a brick and mortar guy, and obviously it's going to be more difficult to do that. I'm assuming that we're going to be in a hellhole here over the next couple of months. It just continues to get worse and worse. And I'm not. And the online shopping thing is very, very convenient. The only problem with shopping online is you don't know what the hell you're getting. If you see something that's like $54 on 3 different sites and you can find one for $15, I don't even if it's Etsy or
don't do that.
It's going to be a cheap piece
of crap.
Well,
then you know what that is?
Yeah.
Can I just?
You get what you pay for online.
No, that's a COVID comparison.
Yeah.
Right? If you see 15 articles that say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you go to one that goes, vaccinations are a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't get the $15 one.
Right.
Because first of all, you're going to end up putting it together. And then, I'm always cognizant of and weary of secondhand markets because there's a lot of them out there right now. Everyone's selling everything. We're just exchanging shit is what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got this old, chicken that's got feathers and I don't want it, but someone else, other people's junk.
It's virtual garage sales.
Yeah.
We love it.
Ugh.
I mean, we love it.
And then we have storage areas because we got so much crap we don't have to do with it. We've got more storage areas in this country.
What is the deal with this city?
If we got a storage place that opened up the street that was being built for like 2 years, and it was sold out a year before it was complete.
Which one?
That cool box up the street.
Yeah, but did you see the? Okay, so the other street.
It's the most, and there's another one in Homewood being built right now.
But it's
two sold out already.
There's two on the other street.
They haven't laid a brick yet.
On
and it's
Acton,
sold out.
They built one, and then they built another one next to it by a different company.
By the way, I have an empty garage outside the KCast radio community. I am free.
It's cool.
It is cool.
Cool storage.
It's temperature controlled. Temperature climate. If you want to bring your crap
there you
over
go.
here, and
whatever they're charging you at Cool Box, you'll undercut it.
I'll do it. And of course,
easy access.
And of course, if you don't pay for it, then I get to keep it.
Easy access.
Easy access. Right through the garage. I'm going to open my own storage.
You should. Do you see what pandemics
I should screw the car. I can put some stuff up there, make sure I have 4 different boxes.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
When I moved here, and I come from the land of like density, right? Everything's overcrowded in LA. We got this too much of everything, etc. There were 2 things that blew me away. Now there's 3.
Yeah.
First, the number of churches. But I mean, this is the Bible Belt, and that's fine. Okay, I'd never seen so many churches in my life. I had. The second was big box convenience stores, Lowe's and Home Depots. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, I've moved from a place of 10 million people to a place of 1 million people, and there are more Home Depots and Lowe's within 2 square miles than I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's the storage place. I guess maybe this all makes sense because then all the Costco's and whatever. But, it's the George Carlin stuff thing. But I've always been interested because these stores, these companies are not dumb, right? They're not just randomly opening this stuff. What is it about where we live, in particular in this part of the country, that these giant conglomerates like Lowe's and Home Depot feel like it's a smart move to put? I mean, where you and I live within 4 miles? Mm-hmm. There's 2 of each.
Yeah. No,
what is that?
I understand when you have a fast food restaurant open on one corner, you're going to have another open on the other.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yes,
but I don't understand why there is a Walgreens and within a year there's a Rite Aid right across the street, which is now closed.
Is it just competition? Like, we can do better?
It's crazy because I don't understand the business model behind that.
But there's got to be.
Yeah, and sometimes, we call it flanking. You flank your competition. You don't really want to win. You're just trying to take a market share
like
to protect. Radio stations did it all the time. We did it with Cumulus, where there were 3 urban stations killing it in the market.
So you just put one up there.
In order to make our other 3 stations look better, we threw a urban station on just to try to take some of their shares.
And if it did well, great, and if it didn't...
Yeah, and it turned out great. But you used to open up businesses or radio stations or whatever you're doing to win. Now you're just doing it to flank to get a percentage share to increase your brand or your percentages on the other side, which is... They end up closing, but I mean, it's like, I don't know. Is it smart business?
I don't
know. Speaking of business, Girl Scouts of America came out with a release yesterday. You know what they talked about? Yeah, I know you're going to say, is there some type of sexual assault? Is there some abuse going on in the Girl Scouts of America?
Some spicy flavor, like LGBTQ flavor?
No, they have a brand new cookie they're coming out with in 2022. It's a brownie cookie.
Ooh.
I still have some Thin Mints I'm holding out.
I like a Thin Mint.
It's like my cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes, but cigarette in the glass case. It's like my last package of Thin
I like
Mints.
a Thin Mint.
I got them hidden back. I'm like, if one of my kids gets a hold of my last sleeve of
Thin Mint is, to me, not like a dessert.
Oh, it's so good. In the freezer, it's so
yeah,
good.
Thin Mint is just a...
If you can throw something in the freezer and still eat it, it's good. Frozen bananas.
So are they coming out brownie flavor?
It's a brownie cookie. It's a cookie like a brownie. It's coming out. And so I was thinking to myself, I think the Girl Scouts of America is a wonderful organization.
By the way, you can get them. They've mainstreamed it. You can buy them. I saw them in Costco.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, I think
it's not just one time.
And they've done a great job at marketing out to ice cream places to have Girl Scout ice cream things.
Their branding,
Dairy Queen,
like Boy Scouts are way behind.
Well, the Boy Scouts are way behind, first of all, because they filed bankruptcy. And I had to look this up because, anyone that was an Eagle Scout or a Weeblo or whatever, a wolf or fox or I don't know what they're.
I don't think you can use that word anymore.
No, I always thought Weeblo.
What the hell is a Weeblo? What is a Weeblo?
But I always thought a Weeblo was really strange to be called in a boys' organization just because I was like, I don't want to be a Weeblo and you ain't blowing. Although they probably did. But I mean, anyone that's been part of the Boy Scouts organization, particularly Eagle Scouts, and I've got one, Dr. Mark Ricketts, who was a good friend of ours and still is for a long time. I haven't talked to him in a while. My next door neighbor, man, he was like, you got to get your kids in the Boy Scouts. It's a great organization. And they turned out to be great men. I mean, it was a great organization when it was done right. And I remember the Pinewood Derby thing and all that stuff. And obviously they've gone through a lot of acquisitions and different things going on in the Boy Scouts of America. And it's super sad because it was kind of like our last thing that we could actually trust and be loyal to. It's the Boy Scouts of America, for God's sakes. But they're going through bankruptcy. It's still out there. We got that place out there on 459. That whole building. What is that empty now, or what's going on there? It's the Boy Scouts of America. The building is huge. It's beautiful. What is that? It's got the Liberty and the torches.
It's an entertainment venue now. You can get married there.
Is it? No kidding. Seriously, that is a big ass building for the Boy Scouts of America. I'm like, okay,
I'm telling you, there's all you got. Come to Birmingham, y'all. There are some surprising. We got some stuff here.
Well, what does that say about the ingenuity, the branding, the beauty, whatever you want to call it, because the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts were kind of neck and neck. I don't think they ever competed, but they did.
Yeah.
Because one was for boys and one was for girls. And now I guess the boys can't be in the Girl Scouts, but girls can be in the Boy Scouts, correct?
Right. But the Girl Scouts don't have some massive headquarters here.
No, but
I mean, they must somewhere, but
yeah.
No, they just got the damn cookies.
You ever make those ornaments? You ever make ornaments?
Out of cookies?
No, you remember the ornaments you used to make when you first started getting, you'd go to someone's house as part of the Boy Scout organization.
I wasn't.
You go to the den mother.
I don't know.
Or the den father.
I was in Indian Guides, which you can't be in Indian.
You go to a friend's house, and there'd be like 5 or 6 boys, and it was like the beginning of Boy Scouts. I don't know, maybe it was when we were all Weeblos. And today we're making Christmas ornaments, and you used to get the little piece of plastic.
Oh, shrinky
and
dinks.
Paint it shrinky dink.
Oh, that's
plastic,
shrinky dinks.
and put it in the oven and watch it come out.
Those
and
were
put
great.
strings on.
We need to bring those back.
Right.
Oh, we need to bring shrinky dinks back.
The thing about Boy Scouts was, though,
I didn't do any of this.
A lot of kids got in Boy Scouts because they didn't have fathers, or fathers that were engaged enough with them. And where Boy Scouts works really good is when you do have a dad that is engaged in what you're doing. Because if you have a dad that doesn't like to hunt or whittle or make ornaments, winky dinks. It was almost like sending your kid off to the military.
This is why there's not a lot of Jewish boys. This is why Boy Scouts are a Christian thing.
What'd you do at Boy Scouts today, Dad? Son, we made ornaments, and we got this hunting trip coming up, and I'd really like to be part of it. I don't hunt. Go have fun with your friends. Go with then brother Jim or whatever. Okay, well, I think he's molesting me. It's okay. Just go have a good time. Dad's busy. I'm playing golf with my friends on Saturday. I'm not going to be able to go on that.
Oh my
that
God.
And that's one of those things where you'll get these letters. I used to get letters from the scout leaders saying we're having this big thing come up this weekend. Really would appreciate your participation and whether you can chaperone or whatever, or we have an overnight trip. We're busy.
Yeah.
Dad's got to work, and you'll be fine. And then there's always that one or two dads
that are
all in. They're like
they wear the shorts.
They spend like 3 weeks doing the Pinewood Derby, and they're buying the weights, and they're going to Hobby Lobby to make sure they're doing everything correctly and they're making sure all 4 wheels are touching the ground and the whole crap. And I'm like, okay.
Can I share with you?
And I'm out there with a pickaxe,
by yourself,
hammer, and a block of wood.
So your dad wasn't into it?
No, my dad was into it a little bit, but then it became a dad thing. I've got a Pinewood Derby upstairs that my dad built specifically for me, but it was his car.
Right.
It was nothing. I was like, hey, how do you want it to look? I'm like, I want it to have tail things and the thing in the back.
Right.
And you have to remember the weight. And he built the thing underneath where you can put extra weight under it. And he was like, this is the one we're racing. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not, it doesn't, and it's green. It doesn't look anything like the way I wanted it to look. Well, this one's going to give my son the best chance to win. And next thing you know, it becomes a father competition, not a boy competition.
You know what that is?
What's that?
Son, we're playing football this year.
So specializing is what
we're playing football.
Yeah.
We're going to play football. I love that.
Yeah.
So I took my son to a Boy Scout meeting. And I didn't do Boy Scouts. We did Indian Guides, which I don't think you can do anymore.
What's Indian Guides?
So I think it's for Jewish men.
What is that?
Maybe it was West Coast thing. We had Indian Guides, which were not. There was Boy Scouts, but then there was Indian Guides, and the whole premise behind Indian Guides was to learn about Indian history and sort of Indian culture and practices.
Yeah.
So, but there was all kinds of stuff that we did that probably
was that a West Coast thing or was that?
I don't know, but we did. So we were all part of a tribe.
Yeah.
Everybody had their tribe.
Yes.
And your dad was big whatever, and you were little whatever. So like my dad was big Red Cloud, and I was little Red Cloud. So I was just thinking, my God, I'm thinking about what we did, and it was not done in any sort of derogatory. Like part of the way you earn your feathers.
Yeah.
You had to learn about the history of your tribe. Mm-hmm. You had to learn about what they did and how they navigated and the persecution that they went with. It was all about the education, but then also, kind of like the Boy Scouts, you did sort of you did activities that helped build you. You learned how to build a teepee, and then you learned how to forage in the forest, and you'd learn, which was a little hard in LA, but you'd do all this stuff. And then we'd go to Catalina Island, and that was the weekend retreat. And so it had that Boy Scout thing, but it was a little less, I don't know, it just was a little less, you had a lot more Jewish dads doing the Indian Guides thing. So when I came here, and everybody's like, you really need to do Boy Scouts with your son.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and and I'm like, but it's a Christian thing, and we're Jewish. It's okay. Everybody's like, it's okay. It's not that Christian, and I'm like, okay. So we go to the first meeting, and Max is sitting there, and he's not all into it, but he was let's just call it neutral.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sitting there. And I'm watching this dad, and he's in the damn shorts. He's in the shorts.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
And
it's just weird. I'm just telling you.
I know. He's going through all the activities, and he's going through the schedule. And listen, and I'm going through this. I'm like, God, I don't really want to do this.
When you found out about the allegations, was it not like,
no, yeah.
I hated I felt that way, but I know the guy who ran our Boy Scout thing, and it made me uncomfortable to see a man wearing a uniform like that.
Well, I came home.
I know that's very shallow of me to think, and I know it's the Boy Scouts of America, and I know the Boy Scouts of America did wonderful work for a long period of time with boys.
No, it's fine. The shorts. Yeah, I came home from that meeting. I remember distinctly telling Jules this. One, I don't know how into it Max seems. Because, again, he wasn't like, oh, Dad, I really want to do it. It was just, he was kind of neutral. Said, one, I'm not sure how into it is. Two, there's a lot of shit we got to do. I said, three, I'm not wearing the shorts and scarf. I'm not wearing it. I'm not. She's like, what? I'm like, I said, of all the things, that's the thing that's bugging me the most. Because a grown man should not wear those things. Wear long pants.
Yeah. No, I still have my scarf.
Did you have the shorts?
We had to use. You got to a certain point where you had to wear it was a dark blue outfit. It was not the. I think as you get older or higher up in the organization, it turns.
You were like a scout leader, a scout leader.
No, I wasn't a scout leader, but I had my uniform. You had to wear your uniform for Boy Scout functions for certain. So yeah, I'm just kind of like.
I don't even like wearing.
But it was a yellow scarf, and it had the
I don't even like wearing name tags, dude. Yeah. I have a whole thing about name tags.
I just think it's really interesting that we had a boys' organization, a girls' organization. The girls' organization seems to be flourishing, and they're coming out with new cookies, and they're killing it. And the boys' organization is like just absolutely fell apart.
Is it surprising?
Even if there wasn't any sexual allegations in Boy Scouts of America, I don't think it would be near what the women say. And maybe it's because of our cultural changes. With how women have been liberated and they're more of the workforce, they're earners now, they're equal pay, they're getting all these things.
And they're killing on girls, so they're smart. What do the Boy Scouts sell? Do they sell anything?
We just get our pocket knife, and I remember we got the first Boy Scout knife. I mean, it was big time. I mean, it was special. It was really cool. Now, if you stuck through it, but then it got more difficult how to tie knots and all these different things. But I enjoyed going on the weekends and doing things and going over to a friend's house, and we had different organizations.
It's one of those things where I do think this, and I think this is in general about parenting, and it's so hard as a parent because before you have kids, you have these visions. You have these visions of what they're going to be like.
Yeah.
And sometimes it lines up pretty well. Most times it doesn't, and you see it unfolding, right? It's like the first thing that you thought they were going to be interested in that they're not.
Yeah.
It's your moment of reckoning. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, come on, you really don't you want it, and you're pushing too hard. And I wish we as parents, myself included, all of us, could look at all the stuff that's out there for kids, all the different directions they go. And go, you're choosing this. You've chosen this one. I would have never chosen that one.
Yeah.
But you're stoked about it, so I'm stoked.
Yeah.
If I have a regret, is that I pushed my kids too hard, too soon, to be passionate about something. I was very clear in my sort of, at least internal parent. I don't care what you do. Like, I don't care what activity you do. I want you to be excited about something.
Did you make them so you made them be part of some type of activity? Because us growing up, we said you're either going to be in some type of sport or some type of, or music or sport. You have to pick one or the other.
Well, and when we grew up, there's far less things to choose.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were like,
and
you're going to
paying $700 for a trombone that he played.
Right. So we did the try everything kind of thing, and that's what I'm saying. As a parent, I was like, I was a soccer player.
Yeah.
So again, Max is older, so put him in soccer. Oh, he's going to be great. And pretty quickly, he's eating the Cheetos, and you're like, okay, this is not, and we did it for like 3 years, 4 years, and then you call it, you're like, he's crying, okay, all right, it's fine, we got a whole lot more, let's go basketball, and you're doing all the things, you're putting them in all the things that you did or you loved, and that's okay because they don't know the difference, and there's this heart sink as each one gets clicked off, and listen, we're going to be, because this is totally honest, right? Yeah. We've been there. I don't know if you've been there. I've been there. The other dad whose kid is interested in it. Mm-hmm. Right? So you put your kid in the sport or the activity, and you can tell pretty quick, like, okay, they're just not into it. But you wanted them to be in it. And you look at Jimmy's dad, and Jimmy is all into it. Yeah. And the dad's nice. The dad's like, yeah, he lives for soccer.
Yeah.
You're like, shit. So, and God love Max. I love my child. I think he's the most, I think my child's going to, I think both my kids are going to change the world. But we did that. We kept putting them in things, and I kept having the heart sink. First, it was that they didn't like the thing that I thought. Then it was they're not freaking interested in anything. Yeah. I think that for me as a parent, I pushed it too soon. Like I didn't push it. I was hoping there would be passion too soon. And once again, Jules was like, just.
They turned out okay.
Well, no, but just give them time.
Did you ever have a den father flip you off?
No, because again, I came home. I'm wearing those damn shorts. That was I swear to God, if I didn't have to wear the shorts, I might have stayed in boys.
I can tell you something because we did ours through our church, and I know the guy very well that did it, and I feel bad that I judged him just based off his uniform, but something just was not right, and something just was not right, and I was kind of like. And I told the wife at the time, I was like, man, something just ain't right with this. And I was part of the Boy Scouts of America. I knew how it worked.
Yep.
And my kid wanted to do it. The Pinewood Derby is kind of like, that's the carrot for those kids.
Oh, yeah.
You have to go through some stuff to get to the Pinewood Derby. Those kids love that Pinewood Derby. I mean, it has everything the boys like. It's got cars and racing, and you got a group of people, and you get the
hot
track
chicks.
Probably a little early.
Pinewood pinup girls,
and the fathers get into it because the guys are into woodworking, and we get to build the cars. We get to build it with our son, and it's not.
Do you see why Jewish men are not in this?
Yeah, we don't build cars with our sons. It's dad down there till 3 o'clock in the morning, making it just right so it's within the weight limit and all four wheels touch the ground and blah, 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 blah. And this is the car we're racing here. And the kid has nothing to do with it. If you go to like a Hobby Lobby, there's like a whole aisle of Pinewood Derby crap. We just had a block of wood. I think we had to come up with our own block of wood. I don't think we even had the balsam wood thing. I think we had to go chop a tree down and build. I think my dad's like, we ain't using that stinking balsam wood crap, the prepackaged crap. I'm going to build my own Pinewood Derby car.
You see this face?
And he's out there cutting his fingers off. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm building your Pinewood Derby. It's not till September, I know. And it'd be like April. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, we're going to build ourselves a down. So my kid got into the Pinewood Derby thing, and he actually beat the car that won the whole race. But it was only because the track was messed up. Because the second time he raced him, he got smoked. Something was wrong with the car. And so I told my dad, I said, I'm going to build me this is father's. I'm going to build me a putt-putt course in the backyard for the kids. It never happened. And I'm like, I'm going to build me a Pinewood Derby. I'm going to do my own and have kids race cars down my driveway. I actually had that idea about 10 years ago.
What happened?
And so I was telling my dad, I said, when you come down in August before we go on our trip, we're going to have a Pinewood Derby, blah, 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 blah. So my dad built a Pinewood Derby. It took him like a month. He built a Pinewood Derby car.
For the race?
For the race.
Did you build the track?
Hell no.
Oh, so you let him down.
He got down here and he had it in a box and he presented it to me and I took it off and I'll show it to you. It's upstairs. It's beautiful.
And he's like, you want to see?
He could work for like Chevrolet. He could do like a prototype for a new vehicle. It was like he used his lathe and he had his thing and then the weights were under it and it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this car. It's not over. And I'm like, okay. And I got it and I still got it upstairs.
What percentage of rockers who are dads have kids? Like, can you see Sammy Hagar in the Boy Scouts as a dad?
I can with Sammy.
Okay.
Just because he's getting kind of soft.
Nick?
No. Nick was not a Boy Scout.
Although he might have had the shorts on.
You know what? I'm going to pull that up. Rockers that were Boy Scouts. That'd be really interesting to see who was. Because I'll bet you like
Angus was.
I'll bet you like Tommy Lee was a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that up.
That's a really good thing.
Do ourselves a last spot here, and we'll get back into some more classic rock.
Yeah. So I'll tell you about Vituro Health. I talked to Cleet Walker the other day. Vituro Health is all about men and prostate cancer and men's health. And as you get older, and getting older means hitting your 30s. You need to pay attention to not just your heart and your diabetes and your obesity, but you need to pay attention to your prostate. And Vituro Health is there to let you know, one, that if you get a blood test every year and you have your prostate examined, you should be good. But number two, if you develop prostate cancer, they are there creating new forms of minimally invasive prostate cancer treatment. What that means is you may not need to have major surgery if you develop prostate cancer, and they can eradicate the cancer without the negative sexual side effects. I tell guys all the time, look, just go to their webpage, VituroHealth.com, learn about men's health, learn about prostate health, You don't have to tell anybody. And learn about treatments for prostate cancer. We want you healthy. It's a part of your body, and you need to treat it like every other part of your body. Honor it, respect it. Did you lose your prostate? What are you doing? You're pulling a Steven Tyler there.
Yeah.
You got some bandanas around that thing?
I had.
What the hell are you doing?
Here. God bless America.
Dirt Road Anthem.
No, I got famous people who are scouts. You want them?
Okay, yeah.
Steven Spielberg was an Eagle Scout.
That's interesting.
Michael Jordan was a Cub Scout.
Okay.
Neil Armstrong was an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett was a Life Scout.
What's a Life Scout?
I have no idea. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Boy Scout.
Now that's interesting.
George Strait was a Cub Scout. John F. Kennedy was a Boy Scout.
Did you see that George Strait was a Cub Scout? He didn't make it past Cub.
Hank Aaron was a Cub Scout. Bill Gates was a Cub Scout. Does that make sense? Are any of these like weird to you?
No.
Bill Clinton was a Boy Scout.
Yeah. I mean, he's Clinton's from backwoods Arkansas.
George Bush was a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
John Wayne was a Boy Scout.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to know what
Harrison Ford. Now that's perfect because the Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah. I mean, look.
He knows how to tie knots. He does all this.
Okay, but where's the rockers?
James Stewart was. This is just famous people.
Oh.
Barack Obama was a Boy Scout. Buzz Aldrin was a Boy Scout. When I pulled up rockers that were Boy Scouts,
They got nothing.
they got nothing. They have famous people that or Eagle Scouts turned professional musicians. Let's see this here.
Oh.
Ozzie Nelson, John Tesh. That makes sense. John Tesh is kind of.
You know I was on his show.
Dude from Imagination Dragons.
Okay.
Scout. Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, there's not a lot. Rocket rollers were not Boy Scouts.
At least we put that to rest.
Yeah,
John Tesh,
it doesn't even
the
have,
dude from Imagine Dragons, and who else was it? That was it.
And Buzz Aldrin. Yeah.
He's not a rocker.
All right, let me put our stuff back together again. This is KCast Radio. It's classic rock to the bone. Jeez, dude, what in the hell?
You got so excited about your.
I know I did, right? KCast Radio.
Yes.
Make sure you get your KCast Radio app so you can get after it here on KCast Radio. We got some Van Halen.
Catch us on Fox soon.
Man, my whole thing fell apart here.
That's just 'cause you didn't pay attention.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.